And we're live. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, my friends, wherever in this world you may be coming to us from, or whichever dimension you may be coming to us from. And if it's the 38th dimension, I hear it's half price wine night, so get it. Welcome to another episode of 40 Going on 4, the show that helps you reconnect with that inner child who got sent home from school for bullying the math teacher. You know who you are. I have an incredible guest today to talk about an incredible topic, the great Angela DiMarco. Angela, welcome, my friend.
Hello, my friend. Thank you for having me on your show. I love it so
Oh,
much.
yeah. What's going on in Strong Island this morning?
Well, it's a beautiful day. My 5-year-old had a temper tantrum this morning on the way to the bus. So, that's always fun.
So you were literally reconnecting with an inner child today. Actually, technically, your inner child. If you really want to get down to the
you're gonna get
biological nuts and bolts of it.
You're just jumping right in there, right?
We're going right there. We're on the express train today.
Let's do it. Yeah, man, and it's so interesting because I have an 18-year-old. And when she was a baby, I wouldn't be able to handle these kinds of things. But now with him, I'm like, oh, there's like all this angst and feelings. Like I have this whole understanding of what he's going through, which is crazy. But you know what I mean? I just feel for him. I'm trying to hug him and he's like unconsolable. And oh, my poor little guy.
One of those mornings. Good morning, Dana. And thank you. I like my face too. I appreciate the compliment. That's very kind of you. Oh, that mug. All right.
Dana's talking about Daya, and I'll do a little plug on that later if you don't mind when we talk about our podcast. But yes, this is Dana's artwork.
Don't mind. Don't mind. Seamus, top of the morning, my friend. Thank you for joining us today. So we've got kind of a big topic today. How do you feel about this one? We're going to be talking about trusting the universe.
Yeah.
It was either that or like which aisle to grab the latest power tool from at Home Depot. I weighed them both. You were going to be the guest for either topic, but I feel like this is the better one. I don't know. You tell me.
I mean, is there any other way to be than to trust the universe?
Well, that seems to be the big question, right? And I don't feel like a lot of us do. And why do you think that is? Why don't we trust the universe? What's that all
about? Honestly, it's like that feeling of if I can control what's going on in my world, if I can talk about like what's right in front of me, then what's Wayne Dyer, he had the best quote, and it was like, if you, oh my God, I'm going to butcher it. Dana, I need your help. It was, if you see it when you believe it, you'll see it when you believe it. You can't wait to believe it to see it, or something like that. I'm totally butchering
I like it.
You know
believe it to see it. We often think, well, what's the old expression? I got to see it to believe it.
Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah.
But if you believe it, then you'll see it.
Exactly.
And by the way, you should butcher it, and you should butcher every saying, because then you can be known colloquially as the butcher of Bayport.
Oh, I'm the butcher of Bayport. I don't want to be the butcher of Bayport.
You don't want to be the butcher of Bayport?
I don't want to be the butcher of Bayport, please.
I'm just saying, that would be a great... All right, in the comments, who here wants Angela from this day forward to be known as the butcher of Bayport?
Well, can I just tell you how awful and weird that would be? Our high school mascot is the Phantom, and there's a whole story about a whole murdering thing that happened. I do not want that title. Audience, no. Thank you. When you believe it, you'll see it.
Awful.
Thank you.
Awful. See, I got no love from my guests. This is a weekly situation over here. I gotta vet these people better.
Christine,
I think Christine's got it right.
Is she working
What's up,
out?
Christine? Yeah, Christine, are you working out? Because Christine said that she's going to be on the treadmill today while this is going on. So, Christine, give us a running like calorie burn count as this live goes on, so we can see like if you're doing like a gentle leisurely walk or you're going uphill and really getting after it. So, but I think this is a really. What do you think? This is a really salient comment because we don't trust ourselves.
It's great. It's great. It's true. It's having that inner knowing that everything's going to be okay. And if you don't have that inner knowing or that belief that everything's going to be okay or that you have everything that you need, then of course, why would you trust anything else outside of you?
Now that's the real question. So this is something that let's just dive right in. We promised a good woo-woo episode today, and the people are going to get it. So, are we separate from the universe?
Oh, no. No, we are all I am you. You are me. We're all connected. We're all connected.
What is this thing? What is this big soup we're swimming around in? Is it like an Italian soup? Is it minestrone? Is that, what are we talking about? Like
Oh
Manhattan?
God. It's a gumbo for sure.
Yeah, yeah, it is a gumbo.
It's everything in it. I mean, what is it to you? What is the universe to you?
It's you, it's me, it's that painting behind you, it's this mic that didn't work this morning. It's it's this half drunk water bottle. It's this hotel key card. It's everything. It's all of it. Everything in between. It's this lighting, which is giving me like some kind of a cataract before this is going to be all said and done. But
Oh no, you look
it's
fabulous.
everything. Thank you. It's everything. And I think this comes to the central idea. So we say, okay, what, as kids, we trust everything. The kids will jump into anything. The kids will eat anything. The kids have no hesitation about it. It drives, of course, everybody else nuts, but they just throw themselves into everything because they just implicitly know it's going to be fine. It'll just work out. I don't know how, but it'll all just kind of work itself out.
Yeah.
When do you think we lose that? At what point does that just kind of float away from us?
Well, honestly, as a child, you have no sense of consequences, right? So at what point in our growing up do we actually start to understand there are consequences to our actions, and that, you don't think people are going to die, you think people are going to live forever, you think you're the center of everyone's universe. So having that safety net and feeling like, you know, everything, like this is all that matters is right now. I mean, that's the way we should be living. But we hit all these bumps and bruises down our hill as we're growing and growing. And yeah, that's for me, that's where the magic stops, when I realized there were consequences. As I was walking down the aisle, my,
Uh-oh.
my starter marriage, and I'm walking down the aisle going, oh God, I'm gonna be married to that thing forever. I'm like, I don't think this is gonna last that long. As I'm walking
That's a
down,
good thought when you're walking down the aisle. Talk about buyer's remorse.
but then just going into it, just like that was my problem, right? I should have just been like later, but no, I didn't, because I did not trust that. Hi, Yash.
Good to have you with us. Now, this is a great comment. I always butcher this name, and something about me and Southeast Asian names. We're not exactly Sonny and Cher, so I don't even try. But but I know the sage to which you refer, Seamus. And yes, refer to it as interbeing. We are interwe. It is one and it is all, paradoxically, at the exact same time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's beautiful.
How's that sitting on you?
No, that's beautiful, because it just makes you think, if you can absorb that concept, then you can realize that when you're having a shitty day and allowing shitty things to happen to you, you're having other shitty things happen to you. Dana, I know. This is like Dana's world, and here I am, practical Angela, the bridge, and Dana's like blue queen. So sorry, Dane. But if you
eating up this topic, yeah.
If you realize that your emotions and reactions and everything that you put out, everything that you feel and think has a ripple effect on the entire continuum of time and space, like maybe you'd think about it a little more. Maybe I'll try to focus more on being content and happy, because I want that for every single particle that's around me to feel that same way. Unless we want everybody to feel that.
Well, some do. You've clearly been to a Jets game. So.
Boo, Jets, boo.
I'm telling you, but there is these interesting kind of group psychology dynamics take over, where you have some people that want, like, they root for everybody, and these people are rare to find, but they root for everybody and everybody roots for them. And then you have some who root for nobody, and funny enough, nobody roots for them either. And then, so you ask this question esoterically, are we one with the universe? You don't have to look that far to see it in action. With the people who walk around miserable all day, they put that out and it comes back, and they become one with that energy of misery. Like, I'm apart from it. It's apart from me. Screw this, screw them, screw everything. Yeah. Then the other's like, this is the best day of my life. And every day just happens to be the best day of their life. It's crazy.
I know. And then those two people walked, like, picture New York City street, right? Scruffy, miserable man's walking, spills his coffee as he's walking. And then the happy-go-lucky person walks right by them, and their energy goes, and it's just like a little ick gets on the happy one, a little happiness gets on that one. And it's just like, it's a whole, like, it really is a thing. Like, we do share our thoughts, emotions, and feelings with each other.
So when you get the ick on you, do you go to the dry cleaners, or how do you get it out normally? Put a little bleach, or?
Oh, I shove a crystal up my ass. No.
I respect that. Honestly, I think that's the best place for a crystal, but this may lose some of my friends in the woo community. You know, I love you guys.
I mean, no disrespect. Honestly, Dana and I joke about her rocks all the time. You know, she's really into them. And I'm not a crystal person, but I have my beautiful little tree here because I just think it's pretty. I don't even know what rock it is, but I like it.
That's fine.
What happens is whether I'm like super up or super down, right? Like in that manic depressive emotional state of being, I have to do something to ground myself. So if someone's getting the ick on me, I got to go by myself and just go do something where I'm focused. Usually, if I do a creative project, writing something, even if it's a post, writing a funny text, calling a friend, and keeping him company on his road trip, just like it gets me out of the stuff that's going on so I can get centered. Because if you can just focus on what's going on inside you, then the ick kind of like is deflected. Like you can kind of like create a shield for the ick. It's hard.
It can't stick. It's like there's something about it. You almost create like a laminate around you where
Yeah.
it just can't get on. Like it just
I'm
falls right
rubber,
off.
you're glue. Your ick can't get on me.
There it is. That is a bumper sticker waiting to happen.
Done.
And it should be on one of those trucks I saw on the road yesterday. Like, don't like my driving, dial 1-800 and I'll let you fill in the blanks.
Exactly. Deal with it.
By the way, trucks in the Midwest, everybody just buckle up and keep your eyes open at all times.
Oh, yeah.
It's a slice of life out here. So what do we got from Seamus? When you connect with the universe at a higher frequency, we tap into the abundance of the universe. We enter into the universal flow. I love this. Let's talk about it.
Seamus, yes. Oh my gosh, it's so true. And if anything, Seamus, you're like the faucet. Seamus is the faucet that turns on the flow. Like I could just step into Seamus's awareness and I feel love and peace and connectedness. He just has this magical gift of being able to do that. So if anybody here is not connected with Seamus yet, please do so. He's an amazing person. He's on LinkedIn, obviously. Yeah, exactly.
Shame on me, apparently.
Oh, then do it. I mean, Seamus is like,
yeah. Hit me up, Seamus.
He's such a love. He is such a love. And that is you. That is you, buddy. So coffee cheers to you.
Yeah, so this is a good comment here. So as long as the positive is inside, inside, outside, is there a difference? Is there a difference between that energy when we absorb it and when we give it and when we feel it, when we perceive it? Or is it just kind of floating out there in the ether? What's that all about?
Interesting. Well, I think that if you think about like a light switch and your electricity, it's all on. Your electricity is flowing in different ways. Yes, it's coming through a wire, but what does that really mean? Right? So I think that it's just a matter of resonance, what you tap into. So whether it's on the outside of you and people are like around you and you can feel that energy, or if you feel it negative or inside, it's a matter of what you resonate with.
What you're picking up and what you're putting down and how they come together to make sweet magic.
Heck yeah.
Now I want to put this in real terms so there's a lot of folks out there who they don't speak in this language. And you know what? I respect that because there's a long time in my life when I didn't either. I'm not going to lie. They were miserable years, but they were a hell of a lot of fun too. In a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So let's kind of bring this from the fifth dimension to the third. And let's talk in very real, very practical terms. Okay. So somebody there in a 9 to 5.
We haven't been.
Didn't we? It's not how we do things around here. That's not how we roll. It's not what it's all about. But what the hell? Let's do it. Let's dive right in. Let's go.
All right.
So let's bring it all the way down. Let's make this dense and heavy and icky. Let's just get in there, right? So somebody out there, maybe you're watching this and you are working a 9 to 5 that you just detest. It's not for you. Your boss is a micromanager. Your colleague is the one who microwaves the fish every day. It's a whole thing. You want out of there. We have all had a colleague like that. You have a business of your dreams you want to start. You've been thinking about it for a long time, but you have this moment of doubt. Like, can I do this? Will this happen? Can I make this work? Do I trust the universe to bring this into alignment for me? What do you say to that person?
Well, we're talking to me 3 years ago because I was that person. Exactly. Down to the fish, except it was always tuna every day.
Oh, God.
Every day, everything you said,
illegal.
the manager, the job, everything. I liked my job, but it didn't have passion. And honestly, it was really Dana who said to me, you know, you have to do this. Like you have to pursue, otherwise you're just going to be miserable the rest of your life. Do you choose misery? It's a choice. You can choose misery, or you can choose to be fearless, embrace it, step into the unknown, see what happens. And worst comes to worst, you can go get another job. It's always an option. It's always an option. As Dana says, as long as nobody dies, as long as nobody dies, bankruptcy, we've all gone through like stuff. We can handle whatever comes your way. Just have faith that you can handle it. Yeah. Yeah.
I feel that. I feel that. And I'll share my story too. A decade ago, I was in the same place, and I joke about this a lot. I was in a job where I would have rather been trapped in a Chilean coal mine than do one more day in that job.
What was
And I
the
don't,
job? You can
oh
say the
God,
name. What kind?
it was sales. It was sales. And I was knocking out 100 cold calls a day in a long sales cycle, which took forever to see a dollar come in. So, I'm busting my ass to see, and the interesting thing was I was making more money at that job than I ever made in my life. And I had never been more miserable. So yeah, for all the whole, money can't buy happiness. It can. You had to be making more than I was making though.
It wasn't enough.
No,
It wasn't enough to tip the scales.
And I had this crazy idea, which I had no idea would take off, of writing comedy roasts for a living. And when I would tell people about doing that, when I actually started doing it for real, people would ask me, "Wait, that's like your side hustle? That it can't be that you wait, really? People pay you for that?" No offense, yeah, none taken. I got that I still get that today. Wait, people pay you for that? Always followed by no offense. It's like looking somebody in the face and say, "Wait, somebody married that face?" No offense, none taken. Yeah, we're good.
There was your pizza part, by the way. Your pizza.
It was totally my, yeah, without a doubt. But I think that came down to this idea of something implicitly inside me trusted the universe, where if I followed my passion all the way through and I put it out into this field, basically saying, "I'm going to do it. And I will trust you to find a way to make this happen." That's the only way to do it, because nothing rationally said this is a viable business idea. Nothing.
Yeah.
So how do you get irrational? How do we get crazy?
How do we get irrational? So the universe isn't going to do it for you. You must follow your joy. Follow what feels good. That's so true. So true. You'd start doing the stuff that feels good. Stop doing the stuff that you're meeting resistance with. And just do what feels good. And that's all we've been doing since that time, since that moment of Dana and I had an intuitive guidance session after she did this painting for me. Oh my God, I'm opposite. It's all weird.
Give them the story of the painting after this. It's a great story. I think everybody back home would appreciate it.
All right. I'll do a quick about the story. So on December 3rd, 2019, I lost a baby. His name is Joshua. I was in my second trimester, so he was like a little thing, and I held him, and he was like a little tiny human that wasn't fully cooked yet. And it was the single most tragic experience of my life. It was the worst experience of my life. And at the time, I had just had a son, Christian. My husband, Dave, and I had a son. He was about 1.5 years at that time, and he was a hard baby to have, a little bit of science and a whole lot of love. And there was Christian. And then so all of a sudden, Joshua was like this surprise baby, right? And for anybody who loses a child, especially like in utero, you start thinking about, okay, I'm gonna have to get another car seat. I'm gonna have to get a bigger car. It's gonna cost a fortune to fly. Like you just start thinking about all these things, and all of a sudden, then that's ripped away from you. So when I came to, after going through the grief, I started to really figure out like what was the purpose. That had to have a purpose. It couldn't just happen. Like things don't happen. I believe that they don't just happen. Everything is for our benefit. Everything is for our soul's growth. Everything is for moving us forward and propelling us. So I started to do a lot of spirituality, like listening to like Aaron Dowdy and Victor Odo videos. I don't know if anybody's familiar, but they're very like woo-woo-y guys who are like on the fringe, and started talking about star seeds and all this stuff. And I was like, this is interesting. And while I was like opening up to this, I was like, I want to honor my baby in a way that he's here with us, So I was going to make a diamond out of his ashes. I don't know. I was going to do all kinds of weird stuff. I don't know what to do. So I had reconnected with Dana after we were college buddies from 1992. So this is now 2021 or 2020. Dana's my Rain Man. And I saw that she became an artist, and I loved her style. So I was like, "Can I commission you to do a painting?" Oh my god, so weird. Lean to the right. Okay.
Loud and clear.
So Dana did this painting for us, and she had a very connected. She knew that the painting was more important than the painting itself. Like, she channeled Joshua while she was doing it, and it just, like, to me, this is a portrait of me and my kids, and I've since healed the sadness of losing Joshua, and he has ushered in this amazing new life that I'm living. So he is my reason. He is the reason for all of this that's happening in my life. But so Dana did the painting, and then we had this intuitive guidance session. And while I was on this spiritual journey, I was like, what is my purpose? Okay, Joshua's here. He's here to bring me to this purpose, here to show me, to wake me up, to like I was so like at the job, like I had everything on paper. Had the 6 figures, had the family intact, had the husband. My husband's hot. It was great. Like, everything was great. And but I wasn't feeling fulfilled. So I had this idea for a business, and during a session with Dana, I read her my little blurb about the business, and she was like, "You have to do that. That's gold." And I was like, "Okay." And then Dana and I proceeded to like talk every day practically. We haven't had a day where we don't talk. And it took me a while. I did the business like over a year, still having the job, but as I got more and more to seeing it to fruition, the job got more and more dissonant to me. Like, it hurt to be there. It was uncomfortable. Like, it just wasn't great. And then finally, we bought a house in Bayport, and I said to my husband, we've got some money now, got an investor, and I just want to go do the business. And he's like, "Okay, you'll be fine. You'll be making money in like 4 months, right?" Yeah. Yes, honey. 4 months plus 3 years now.
Now, 4 months in dog years, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Just qualifying this.
Appreciate you. Okay.
Oh no, we have a transmission. Don't tell me this cut off during the best part of the show. We were just getting the best story over here.
Maybe
Oh
we weren't
no,
supposed to have that.
Ah, good. Yeah, the universe is like, they don't need to hear it. They don't know.
I know. I guess
They
not.
do.
All
They
right.
do need to hear it, because it's a beautiful story. It really is. And some would say tragic, and I think tragic's in the eye of the beholder. It's some would say tragic, some would say inspiring, some would say yes to both. I think it doesn't have to be either or. This comes right back to the core of it. It's, do you trust that this happened for your highest good, for you, for your family, for your trajectory, for everything? Now, where would your life be had your child come to term? What timeline would that have spun off?
Exactly. And you know what? That's exactly it, Jeff. It's, do you trust that this experience is for your highest good? And the knowing that we have now is that every experience is for our highest good, no matter what. We don't have these experiences like, no, we're here to have fun, here to learn, grow, expand.
Here to learn. Here to learn. There are different exercises that I've done with people to kind of play out different timelines, and things that can appear to be the absolute worst calamities can give way to an inpouring of light and innovation and connection that can be 100 times greater than the bad thing was bad, but we can't see it now. And I'm not going to get into too much detail about that, but one incident, a historical calamity, we played out an entire timeline, and I literally saw this coming. This is where you can all have me committed. That's cool. I have no problem if you do that. But that historical calamity is going to lead to the cure for cancer. And the millions that were lost in that calamity will give way to the billions that will be saved because of this innovation, which would not have happened had that timeline not spun up that sequence of events. So this is where it comes down to trusting. Do you trust that it's going to work out better than you could possibly imagine? Do you think that it will? And why? Why should we trust that? That's a good question. Why? Why should we trust it?
Well, I've seen it, so I believe it. I've experienced it, and I think you have too. That first time where you're like at the edge of the cliff and you're like, oh, like that feeling, right? That feeling of, but then you realize you get caught by the net and you get taken to greater heights every single time. Every single time you say yes to your happiness, you are elevated. You just have to trust in how you're going to get there.
Yeah, I'm glad that your story did get through and Christine did see it. So good on you, StreamYard. You
Um,
finally came through for us once in your beautiful little life. Now, we have a couple of great questions I want to get to here. We're going to start with George. George, what's up? Aloha, my friend. What do you do in your moments of doubt to reconnect to the trust, the good, the beauty, and the universe?
Oh, let's see. I want you to answer that one first. No,
Okay, moving on to the next question.
I think you've got something to
I,
say.
now, it's a great question, George. And, those moments are always going to come, no matter how, quote, connected you are, or I hate to use the word enlightened. I hate it. I hate that word. I'm going to use it, though. No matter how enlightened. Doesn't make a difference because you're going to have those moments. It's going to happen. And then there's two things that I do to help me in those moments. The first is to just remember and remind myself that it's all a show, it's all a game, it's all a dream, simulation, whatever word you want to use for it. That I am certain of beyond the absolute shadow of a doubt. And when I reconnect with that moment, I'm reminded that the doubt is baked into the cake of that game. It's not a bug, it's a feature. We're meant to feel separate and disconnected and think it's real and all of that, because that's where the fun and the juice of the game is. Because I think there's part of you, if you trust too much, then the game loses a little bit of its fun. Like if you know no matter what happens, I'm totally good, you can be light and easy and free, but some of the juice is taken out of the game. So I think that's part of it. And then the other thing I do when I'm having that moment of doubt is just to realize this moment of doubt usually happened after something really bad went down or something really frustrating is happening. And then also realizing that's also baked into the cake. That's the contrast. You came here to experience that contrast. And, so here come all the cliches. It's always darkest before the dawn. And it's like the labor pains of giving birth. And you have to have those contractions and those pains as part of the process. So it's just, again, baked into the cake. It's part of the deal. And once you kind of reconnect with that, you're like, all right, we're all right. What do you think?
I think that's a brilliant way to look at it. It is part of the game. George, what I would say is when you're having a moment of doubt, dig in and see what is causing you the fear. What are you afraid of in that moment? And address the fear, because that's what doubt is. Doubt is, oh, if this isn't going to work, I'm not good enough. Does that tap into a lack of worthiness? Does that tap into a lack of trust and faith? And if you try to address it and get down to what it's really about, like Dana says at the end, is anyone going to die in the situation? But finding that root cause.
Root cause.
Root
We're
cause.
sociologists today.
But if you dig in and say, like, okay, like I've had, I do this weird thing. I'm going to be full on commando here with you guys. When I have an underlying fear and I'm not sure of what's going on, my mind goes to play out a very tragic scenario. Don't know why, but that's where I go. So that has now become an alert to me that I'm facing a fear that I'm not facing. I'm fantasizing about something tragic and more terrible to happen than what is going on at the moment. And it's a deflection. So for me, that's my cue. That's my cue to say, okay, stop. Obviously, that thing is not going to happen. I could bring myself to tears. I could be at someone's funeral. Like I go far before I catch myself. And it's like, why do I do that to myself? But I realize it's because, oh, X, Y, and Z is happening right now. And I'm feeling really uncomfortable about that. Oh, okay. This happened before and I was okay then. You know what I mean? Just like keep playing it through. And then all of a sudden that you're able to reconnect in a much easier way to the joy and the trust.
I like that. And that lends perfectly into the next question. We're just going to build on this. From Natalia, what's happening, Natalia? Glad you joined us today. What are the ways of turning calamities into opportunities? Great question. Love this question.
That is a great question. And that goes to, I don't know if we were on or not when I was telling about my miscarriage, but losing Joshua really was the most tragic experience of my life. And how do you as a mother, turn that around to be something positive? But it is, we celebrate Joshua Day. Joshua is the reason why I am where I am. And you just have to try to understand and try to learn what the purpose is in the situation. because everything does happen for your soul's growth. It's not here to hinder you. It is here to help you grow. So bad
Yeah.
relationships are here to teach you something about yourself. Bad jobs and bad bosses are here to teach you something about yourself and how you're going to handle it. My daughter, I don't know if she's watching right now, she might be, but she's in college and dealing with her roommate situation, and just she's got to learn. This is her opportunity. So you just have to really see what the purpose is.
Is that roommate giving her trouble? Do we got to make some phone calls?
No, I think they're working it out.
I'm saying, are we good?
As girls do.
Just want to make sure.
Appreciate you, though. Appreciate you.
Yeah, we got you. Now, it's a really, really good question. And I think this can be answered on the micro level and on the macro level. You gave a great micro example of how you used it in your own life. I certainly have some of my own, but I love to come back to the macro examples. So let's go back to the summer of 1945. Remember that summer? Fun times for everybody. Fun for the whole family.
Yep.
And there are very few people who lived in Japan or Germany in the summer of 1945 that would look around and say, things are great. This is as good as it gets right now. They're looking at a bombed out landscape. They're looking at the destruction of their entire way of life. They're looking at starvation. They're looking at disease. I mean, it couldn't possibly get worse. And yet, if you can tell somebody in that moment with a straight face, from the ashes of this, your community and your nation will rise to not only its former glory, but 100 times greater than that. But it will not be a glory based on militarism or war. It will be a glory based on innovation and progress and friendship with other nations and moving the puck of humanity forward. And you will ultimately be two societies that the world looks to, and not as adversaries, but as beacons of light. And nobody would believe you at the time. Nobody. And if you tell somebody in the US that in 1945, say one day Germany and Japan will be two of our greatest friends in the entire world, they'd laugh you out of the room. And there are so many examples of this the world over, of things that are calamitously beyond imagination that become the seeds of something truly beautiful to blossom that ends up being more beautiful than the calamity was bad. So it's just taking that step back and realizing if that can happen on the macro level, it can certainly happen on the micro level.
Oh my God, that was effing beautiful, dude.
All right, we should end the show on that because it's not going to get better from my perspective anyway. Like at least nothing I'm going to say is going to be better than that. We'll keep it going though, because what Angela's going to say is going to be better. So we'll keep it rolling for that.
Can I curse? I just have to give a whole. Let's just give you some mad props for that, because that was amazing. I love the way you see the world. I love how you see. I love the macro, and I'm so micro because I'm all about the individual and seeing someone's light, and you having this vision for people and helping them see it and painting that picture. Jeff, so good.
It's history has been uneven to say the least, but the one thing about it is that when you look at the big picture, it always gets better. But sometimes it gets worse temporarily before it gets much better long term. But we get stuck in the worst in that moment. And this has happened a lot in a couple of recent years. We've got so stuck in the morass of all the things that have happened in the early 2020s that it's painted this picture that the world is somehow getting worse. It's not remotely getting worse. It's getting so much better in so many different ways, but we're prisoners of the moment, and we don't see that short-term calamities lead to long-term beauty.
Yeah.
I mean, think about this. Think about just the pandemic alone, about the remote work revolution that has ushered in.
Yes.
And I'm talking hundreds of millions of lives have improved globally and will improve from this point forward in incredible ways that wouldn't have happened without that.
Agreed. I mean, we only knew of, the news, right? That's all you know of is what people tell you. Oh, these people are dying. All this is happening on the other side of the world. And you just can't be there to check it. But it's true. It's happening. And so then there's I was a victim of the fear in the beginning. Of course, I'm taking my freaking groceries from the guy as they came in.
I'm still doing that, but because of that stomach bug that's going around, and I don't trust people handling my stuff, but that's a whole different conversation.
I mean, you know what? If anything, if we taught everybody how to people wash their hands and use hand sanitizer on a regular now. So that's a beautiful thing. Sanitizer.
It is.
Fun calls it. Yeah, Dane, totally.
That's right. Look at the Dark Ages and the Renaissance. I'm a firm believer we are on the cusp of another major Renaissance, because you look at the catalyst that drove the last one. You had a couple of things working together at once. One, you had a plague. Check. Number two, you had a war in Europe. Check. And number three, you had a bunch of hysterical people burning witches. Check. All right, we're good. We got all the conditions for a new Renaissance. And look at the painting right behind Angela and tell me we're not on the cusp of another great Renaissance.
Oh, seriously. It is such a time of creativity. It really is. And that's like also something that so I'm a creative person by nature. You are also, you're one of the most hilarious writers I've ever read. Like I've had the privilege to know. But like I have to sometimes I'll be stressed, or I'll be in the moment, or I'll be like things, the ick will be getting on me. I can just like pick up my guitar, play for nobody, do something. For being creative means doing something with no result at the end, right? Just being, just create, doodle, read a book, write a book, take a
Talk
picture.
about no result at the end. Being an author is the best way to live that.
Same, get it. Trust me. Oh, yours is awesome, by the way.
I got to get yours. And Dana, I got to get yours too. I'm gonna read them both. I can't wait.
We're gonna get them to you when you're back from your Wild West adventure.
Can't wait to dig in. Thank you, George. That's kind of you, my friend. Now, George is somebody I like to plug George all the time, and I'm going to continue to plug him because this is a guy you have to watch his show. It's so good. And George is one of the most interesting and entertaining people out there. And his perspective is just, it's so infused with that. You talk about trusting the universe. It just flows through George Monty. And you feel the enthusiasm of creation itself flow through George.
George, that is a freaking endorsement, man.
Yeah.
I'm gonna sign up. Where can I find you, George?
Yeah. You got to connect with this man. You got to follow his show. He's on. I don't know how you do it, brother. I don't know. This guy has shows like 5 days a week. It's crazy, and each one's better than the last. It's just awesome. But this is where trusting the universe comes right back in, and you trust that if you stay in that joyful flow, you just kind of turn the spigot on and let it kind of flow through you, and get out of your own damn head in the process. Watch the things happen. So you said you get out and play your guitar. What can people do if they're having that moment of doubt and that moment of, I don't know if I'm part of this whole thing. I don't know if I trust it. How can they get back in that joyful flow?
Well, it goes back to, what did you like to do when you were a kid? When you were 4 years old, what was the thing that you did on your own? Like, I played school. I colored with my crayons. I took care of my baby doll Marie. You just go back to that place of, you did stuff because it felt good when you were a kid, with no repercussion, no end in sight, just because you're in the moment.
You know what I do? I talk to Maria Rouse. That's what I do. That gets me back in the flow. Maria's a delightful human.
Maria.
And she's a fellow long-suffering Bills fan, so we can bond. Or you want to talk about stepping outside of the flow of the universal joy? Be a Bills fan. That's the express train to it. I'll get you right there, like in a blink of an eye. Want to get in that doubt and that pain and that suffering. Although, I was thinking about this. That's another one too. You want to talk about transmutation? Think about people who are fans of just awful teams and awful franchises that just break your heart over and over and over again. There's so much beauty to be found in that. Now stay with me for a second on this.
Okay.
Like all the Cleveland fans, like, hell are you talking about? All right. Think about what is born from shared struggle. Think about, and now I don't want to use the word trauma bonds over sports. It trivializes actual trauma bonds, but there's some degree of it. And the friendships that are made because of that kind of commiseration over like a shared disappointment, the fact that you all come together, you learn these things about resilience and loyalty and all these lessons you don't learn if you're like a Patriots fan or a Yankees fan and everything just is handed to you. That there are a lot of things that come from that manifest in other ways in other parts of your life that you don't see at the moment. But you don't get that. You don't get that kind of camaraderie. You don't get that kind of nod like, hey, I see you. I see you too. You just don't get it.
Okay, so I'm weird. I am someone who like I step in and out of experiences depending on who I'm with. I just wrote a whole newsletter thinking about it, about like being able to like jump into different things. So I had my ex starter husband was a Red Sox fan. And so I was a Red Sox fan a year before they won the World Series after however many years, 98
Mhm.
years or something
Yep.
crazy. 1918. Like I remember all the stuff. And so I'm from New York with this husband, and my brothers hated me because they were diehard Yankee fans. Like there were battles in my house, and I was a drunk Red Sox disgruntled. We are gonna win this year. Like I suffered for a year, and then they won the World Series, and I was at Game 6, and it was freaking awesome. Um,
Wow.
so I and then so I've become like I now can watch a Super Bowl. Like I can't follow a team. I love football. I can watch any game and just start staring. And I'm so amazed by the game itself that I'm not hung up on the stats, the years, the even who the coach is, what the players are being paid. I don't give a shit about any of that. I am watching it for the love of the game. And it is such a cool place to be. But I get you. On a opposite side, instead of commiserating and trauma bonding, I'm also a huge Pearl Jam fan. So you go to a rock concert and you have all these people loving up on this music and every single note. That kind of bonding is also probably why I love the music so much too. So shout out to all my Pearl Jam fans. Love you guys. Like two of us.
Jeremy, there's something about Pearl Jam which is so beautifully early to mid '90s, in that you couldn't make out 3 lyrics of any song, but you didn't care because it's all that every '90s song was the exact same song sung by a different person. It didn't matter who it was, but it was great, and you didn't care because you loved it anyway. It was the best.
Yeah.
And just for the record, drunk, disgruntled Red Sox fan is redundant. It's just off.
That's true.
Each implies the other two. So
pre-winning World Series Red Sox fan says everything.
Absolutely. Now, Bob's a guy, you want to talk about transmutation and leaning into the universe. This is a guy who not only is a great fisherman, from what I understand now, Bob's somebody who has encountered a lot of adversity in his life, but he still brings it to the show. He still brings it to the show. And that is an incredible thing to see. I love the transmuters. They're my favorite people. They're my heroes.
Yeah.
Everybody out there who's like taking the punch and gets back up, you're like, what? Let's go.
Yes.
They are my freaking heroes.
It's true because you know that their growth is so exponential, right? The harder the trauma, the harder the adversity, or the greater the adversity, the greater the growth. And if you are somebody like Bob who keeps going through and growing through these things, oh my God, Bob should be floating on a mountaintop by now.
Oh yeah.
Bon Jovi. Oh, that's Bon Jovi is my karaoke song. Wanted Dead or Alive? Wanted Dead or Alive.
That's a good one.
Crush it.
That's a good one. That's a really good one. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger, or just makes you really bitter. Either way. But that's the interesting thing. It's always a choice. Like, do you trust the universe to say that this thing that happened happened for, as miserable as it was, is it happening for me to propel me into what's going to be better, or screw everything, screw the universe, screw life, this and that, and you just go into the shell? And which basically it describes most of New York. And Angela and I are both New Yorkers, and there is, I hate to paint it with a broad brush, but what the hell, I'm going to do it. I'll paint with a really broad brush. There is this heavy energy with New Yorkers that you find, and it is this heavy, pessimistic, screw everything, screw everybody, another day, this and that, and can you believe I'm dealing with this shit again? And it's like that. It's just over, and it feeds off itself, and it drags itself in. But the ones who break free from, and there are a few who break free, there is a magic to them unlike anybody else you'll ever meet. Because the strength required to break free from that vortex of negativity, my God, that's the stuff.
Dude, I mean, yeah. Yeah. I was just in so I'm on Long Island, and I used to live in the city. Like, my heart's in the city. I love New York. I love that energy because it does feel like home. They're my people. And I've always been like the bright, shiny, bubbly girl walking down to, walking my little Starbucks or whatever coffee I was drinking, and I can't walk with coffee in my left hand. I'm not ambidextrous. I spill it. So I always had to have it in my right hand. So I had my phone in my left. I'm walking through the streets. And then everyone's walking down, looking at everyone's their thing. And I'm the one who's looking up, like, look at this. It's so cool. Cause I love people watching. But I was in the city this past Sunday with my kids and met up with an old friend, Kyra Marsh, an old colleague. Really, really fun day. Went to Bryant Park. My kids were on the carousel. We had sat outside at a cafe and had a great salad, and it was just like this awesome day. The energy of the city is it's so different. So it really depends on where you're at, right? But
Yeah.
I was there. My whole family still is there, and I had to separate from them regardless. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a space thing. It's like a distance. They're not in my life. I can't be around it. It's too heavy.
It's a lot, and it can influence our own view toward life and our own view toward our own destiny.
Yeah.
If we're in an ecosystem of everything is screwed, we're all screwed, everything is doomed. And this is something I've been on this crusade on social media recently, and this like doom culture of, and there's nothing that says I don't trust the universe like a culture of doom. That is the great telltale sign of everything is screwed, and here's why.
Agreed. And I love what you're doing. I love how you're painting these pictures of what tomorrow and today actually look like.
It's, I was saying I'm trying to describe this the best way I can. It came to me, and it just keeps coming to me, not of what can be, but what already is. It's this timeline that already exists, and it's so much closer to us than we can even begin to understand. And it's around the corner for us, because if you look at the arc of history, that's where it's going. Yeah. That's the terminus. Like that's where it's like looking at a train map, and where the train is going, and if you're on the A train, it's taking you uptown, and it's going uptown. Now you may be in Midtown right now. You say, well, we're only in Midtown. Yeah, but it's going uptown. The sign says uptown. You get on it. That's where it's going. It's going to take you there. You're going to end up in Washington Heights. That's the deal.
Unless you get off the train and stay where you are.
You get off the train, right? And that's there it is. There it is.
Don't get off the
train. I would drop the mic, but that would create such crazy feedback right now. We've had enough tech issues today. We don't need that. We don't need that at all. Dan, it is an open book test, man. You'll be all right.
These are such good comments, you guys.
Yeah, the sense of doom, especially among teachers and people who serve the public, is palpable. It is. Where do you think that comes from? Why are we just engrossed in this like doom culture? What's that all about?
It's all media driven. It's all driven by the puppet masters who want us to stay, because if we stay in the place of doom, we'll be servants to the matrix and all that stuff. But if like my life, the minute I turned off the news, the minute I stopped caring about other people's opinions of what was going on in other people's lives that I had nothing to do with, my life became beautiful. Let me make my own assessments of what's going on, right? Like, let me witness things and then create my own opinions of what's going on. I could witness something. I could witness a kid bullying a kid. My heart breaks and I feel the pain because I'm experiencing it. But what's going on in, south of Italy and whatever, I don't even know what's going on in the news. Dana there was a huge hurricane in Florida, and my husband goes, "Is Dana okay with the hurricane?" I'm like, "There's a hurricane in Florida?" I had no idea. I'm like, "Dana, are you okay?" She's like, "Yeah, it was 3 days ago. I'm fine."
I'll tell you what's happening in south of Italy right now. Somebody's having a delightful glass of wine and a nice pasta dish with their guma. That's what's happening in south of Italy right now. That's what's going down. That's just an educated guess, but I'm pushing my chips all in on that one. I feel like that's happening somewhere in south of Italy.
All right.
And I think there's a difference between not listening to the news and letting it, overrun you, and then just being informed. And there's different, being informed does not mean taking on the emotions of those who want to keep you in an emotional state. It's just understanding what's happening, putting it through your own perceptual filter, and then making your own determinations of, okay, do I need to be freaked out about this? Do I not? What sensible things do I do?
Yeah.
But I thought we're like engrossed in this I don't trust the universe place, which is ultimately I don't trust myself.
Well,
So
yeah,
how do
and
we trust ourselves?
just to the new so to that point, right? I don't trust myself not to believe what I see and hear.
Mm.
I am gullible. I'm one of those people, I bring home the strays, like I see the good in everybody. For me, a long time was if I heard it on the news, it was true. So for me, I don't know who's telling the truth. So I'd rather just turn it all off because I can't decipher the truth. And I don't have the bandwidth, wherewithal, give a shitness to research what is the truth. So I'm just gonna let you tell me what I should be like knowing about what's going on in the world, and then we'll take it from
All right.
there.
I'll be your news station. How's that?
I trust everything you say. So yes, that's great.
That's really dangerous. Anybody here who knows me can tell you how exceptionally dangerous that actually is. But
I live on the edge, baby.
I appreciate you anyway for that. That's kind of you. I'm with you, Maria. So this also brings me back to, why did you let your husband turn you into a Bills fan? If talk about adding stress. It's so unnecessary. So unnecessary. It'll kill you. So how do we come home? And this is the real question. How do we come home to ourselves and say, hey, you in the mirror. Yeah, you, I'm talking to you. Don't look away. You. How do I come home to you? How do you come home to me? How do I start trusting you again?
It's weird.
Comments.
Yeah, put it in the comments because I'm
Yeah.
in a place where I am fully trusting. So it's hard to even tap back into that feeling when I didn't have that trust and faith. Sometimes it's really important to find your people. If you can't see it in yourself, is to find people that can see it in you first and help you see it.
Understanding what we can control and what we cannot. That's where wisdom begins, right?
Yeah.
That's what they say. That's
Mm.
where it begins. It's that classic old school prayer, but there's something so profound to it.
Yeah. So I'm in AA. I'm 13 years sober. And I remember I couldn't comprehend the serenity prayer. And my like it just didn't make sense. You have a whole fog when you get off the booze, the wagon. So she said, she broke it down. She was like, let me break down the serenity prayer for you. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. I cannot change people, places, or things. The courage to change the things I can, my thoughts and actions, and then the wisdom to know the difference. And that really helped me understand I can't control what you do, see how you react to me. I can't control anything but I can only control what I think and what I do. And I'm only responsible for myself. So thank you, LinkedIn user.
Thank you. Whoever you may be out there in this big, beautiful universe. Fine line between crisis and opportunity. Embrace the chaos. It will help us find the light. Lean in. I was driving yesterday and I was going through a torrential downpour and the road started ponding a little bit. Like, all right, here we go. And then even though I'm on the interstate and it was actually through a flat stretch of land, you do feel yourself not quite there. I'm thinking, okay, well, if I start fishtailing, I got to take my own advice and I have to turn into the skid. That's going to be the only way I'm coming out of this thing in one piece.
Did you start singing Jesus Take the Wheel?
I used to sing Jesus Take the Wheel, then I realized he was my Uber driver and looked back and like, dude, I'm already at the wheel. Chill. I got you. We're okay. I'm going to get you home. I gave him 5 stars because he was awesome. Hey, Tammy, welcome. Yeah, I have the same settings. I get that same thing when I comment on other people's streams and I'm the LinkedIn user. And by the way, for those out there who are wondering what that's all about, it means that you have your settings on private. So if you look at somebody else's profile, they won't be able to see that you looked at their profile. So it's a great way to creep on people. I'm not saying Tammy's doing that. So it's not a character assassination. I'm very fond of you, Tammy. I think you're awesome. But I do that. So I'll assassinate my own character here. Yeah. Yeah, you have to have that moment, I think, right? And so what was the turning point for you? At what point did you start trusting yourself, the universe, and having that inner knowing of everything's going to be all right. I don't know why, I don't know how, but everything's going to be all right.
Ah. There's a part of me that probably always knew that, you know? Busted. There's a part of me that always knew that, but, it was the resistance to actually doing, like, truly, truly trusting, and that was more about here's the shift. When I went from trusting other people to trusting myself. I used to rely on everybody, and it was everybody else's fault, and I didn't have the things I wanted and needed because I didn't know what my own needs were, and anyway, and Dana said earlier, you have to get honest with yourself, and I think that's really where it is, when you can look in that mirror and not look away, when you can look in the mirror and look yourself in the eye and go, "Oh, your eyes are so pretty today." Like, you can just get in there on yourself and really understand who you are. That's when you start trusting yourself because you're listening to your gut. What about you?
Ooh, that's good.
What about you?
Well, I tell you, I had that happen last night, actually. I listened to my gut, and it said loud and clear, you should not have had that hot open faced roast beef sandwich. But when I'm listening to my gut otherwise, it's telling you laugh.
But
But
it was
yeah,
so
your
good.
gut never lies to you, and it will never lie to you about what you just ate, and it will never lie to you about what you're supposed to do next,
Mm.
and about where you've come from and where you're going. It's
Mhm.
really good about that. That's the one thing about guts. They're really, and the gut's so interesting as we learn more, even scientifically. We'll park the woo-woo stuff on, as they say in training, like on the parking lot. We'll just put it up there for a second. We'll come right back down to that 3D science, and they're just learning so much more. And the gut has not only its own immune system, it has its own brain, and it's so,
Really?
yeah. Look at like the HPA axis. It's so interesting how the gut communicates with the brain and back and forth, and it literally has its own set of processes down there and decision making things that are like feed to the brain. People think the brain drives the bus, that the gut drives the bus of the brain. It's so interesting.
Huh.
And so when that gut's telling you something, that is a deep inner knowing. It's an intuition, and everybody has it. So the question is, are you going to listen to it or not? That's up to you. But if
Yeah.
you do and you just trust, pretty cool things are going to happen. And they're going
Yeah.
to blow your mind, like
Yes.
mind blowing stuff.
Yes. Well, now how do you how like, what are the ways that people, drown out the gut? Because the gut's telling you to do something you don't wanna do. The gut's forcing you to say, like, "This isn't a good situation, you need to leave." And you're like, "No, no, 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 you don't know. I'm gonna drink,
Mm-hmm.
like, 5 more beers. You don't know. You don't know."
Yep. I'm totally going home with them. What could go wrong? Your gut's like, do we need to count the ways this can go sideways for you? Because I'll lay it out for you one by one by one. You're like, yeah, but I want to. Well, good for you. Don't do
And
it. And
then
then
and
at that,
then you
and you
do
just
it,
know.
and then there's the
And then,
consequences, and then
and
there's
there
the
it is.
oh,
There
yeah.
it is. Well, you're saying that your gut told you to walk off that aisle with the starter husband.
Mhm. But, of course, in hindsight, I'm so glad I didn't because I have my daughter, like, she would not have I have no regrets, but I know the moments where I'm sure Maddie would have come into fruition in some way, shape, or form, because where she's meant to be, she's like my soul, she's everything, and, I'm sure there would have been a way for her to come into my life in another situation, but that whole experience, let's just say I learned a lot during those years.
So okay, let's build on that. This is great.
Oh, that's
Here's
great.
another great part of trusting the universe. Let's say your gut tells you to do something. You say, screw you, going my own way, doing it anyway. Like, okay. And you do it anyway. You do the thing your gut's telling you not to do. And guess what? It'll still work out for you. It will
Mm,
still recalibrate it for you. Even though it didn't, even though your gut told you not to do it. Like with your daughter, it will, like I said, don't marry this guy. You're like, screw you, I'm marrying him. Okay, great. Well, guess what? You had your daughter. You had your soulmate. You had the most amazing person in your life. And then eventually you went your separate ways and upgraded the husband situation, and you had another beautiful baby, well, two more beautiful babies. One was with you physically and one was with you in the spirit,
mhm.
and it all worked out. So even if y'all make a bad decision, which you're going to do, I've done, you've done, we've all done it, and we're going to continue to do it. That's the fun part, kind of.
Yes,
you know the universe is going to recalibrate for you. It just
absolutely.
is.
Absolutely, and I always told Maddie, because I left, I left the marriage when she was 3. So I told her, I was like, God got me in, and then he got me out as quickly as he could. And it was not without a lot of bumps and bruises and tragedy and all kinds of horrible things. But I did learn a lot about myself. And that was a long game lesson, because it wasn't until like a few years ago that I was finally over it, and like now that starter husband is like, oh, it's like an annoying old scab scar on my arm, where before it was like my arm fell off and it was just gushing blood. So it definitely healed, and as I grew and learned, it evolved. But I needed it. It was part of my pregame here in this planet.
part of the journey. I mean, the great character arc. It's the story sucks without adversity. Have you ever seen a movie with no adversity that was a good movie?
Boring. Even in Disney movies, like a parent always dies. Like there's always something.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Lion King? Come on.
Every Disney movie, a parent or an elder person dies, and it's the children that rise up and take over the world. Every Disney movie.
Every time. Every single time. And I feel like Tammy's walked this road too about her daughter. It's the same deal. And this universe will find a way to redirect you. It's like a GPS where, if there's a road closure or something goes down, it will find a way to reroute you back where you have to go.
Yes.
And it may take you through some areas with gravel roads where you get weird people on the side of the road with shotguns staring you down, which did happen to me in West Virginia, by the way. Great story. Telling the next one.
Oh my God.
True story.
I'll
not be driving that road again.
I definitely want to hear that story. There was something that when I was going through some stuff, I think that Dana and a friend of ours, Anne Marie, they were talking about how there are choice points, and there are a finite number of choice points in this lifetime because of how long we are here to live. And if you miss like your last choice point, then you're on that trajectory, but you have all those moments, you have those opportunities to reroute and make the choices that are good for you.
Absolutely. Just got to roll into it. Exception with Seinfeld. No hugging, no learning. That's it. That's profound, Dan Smolin.
Dan.
Dan's always on it.
Nice.
So we're coming up on time here, and they're about to kick me out of my hotel room. So on that wonderful note, I always end each of these things with a big question and a bigger question. Okay. So we'll start with the big question. Why are we all here?
God, there's a bigger question?
There's a way bigger question, but this is the big one. So.
Okay. Why are we all here? I feel like it's lightning round. Okay. What do I get?
Yeah. Why are we all here?
We are all here to evolve our souls, to expand and to transmute the energy that is dense, and we transmute it through these experiences that we have here in this lifetime. And as we do that, we expand ourselves and thus expand the universe. And that is what I believe why we're here.
Second.
Is that too woo-woo enough?
No, I love it. And now we have the even bigger question. New York or Chicago pizza?
Oh, fucking A. New York, dude. Is that even a question? Come on. For
some people it is, and for the life of me,
Chicago can take their deep dish and shove it up their butts.
Chicago deep dish is the literal reason why Tums was invented. And I will just leave it at that.
That's huge.
So for all of you who have not yet connected with Angela, do so. Angela DiMarco on LinkedIn. Check out our website, uniquelyphenom.com. If you have a team that needs to get their stuff together, Angela is somebody you need to be talking to. And you absolutely have to check out her podcast, the Going Commando podcast, available where all podcasts are, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, and where all the other good stuff. She does it with the amazing Dana Sardano. So Dana will also be a guest on the show at some point.
Our logo.
There it is.
Turn it.
Check out the podcast.
With Angela and Dana.
Angela, anything to leave our guests with before we let them enjoy the rest of their Friday?
Oh, no, dude. Just go get a slice of New York pizza and have a great weekend. That's all I got. It's so good to see you.
Angela, I appreciate you, my friend.
Awesome.
And everybody in the comments, love you all. From the bottom of my heart.
Everybody. Thank you.
Have the most amazing weekend.
Bye.